Hello again, Steve here, waiting on the side of the road to get loaded up with my truck. And there was something that's rolling around in my mind in terms of a thought based on what some people say, not only now, but a lot of times in past, right? A lot of times in past and in now, people have the tendency to want to scapegoat or to blame somebody else, right? And this is something that I have done. This is something that probably most people have done rather than taking responsibility for themselves as much as possible. And one of the favorite whipping groups or blame groups that the world has ever seen has been the Jews. So the question is, are the Jews actually the problem? Well, if we take it from our perspective of, is that person the problem? Is that person my problem? Is that person my problem? Well, we could make the case, but what good does it do us, and is it actually true? I think one of the reasons why the Jews get so much flack, and by the way, it's not my belief that the Jews are anybody's problem at all. But here's where I think this is coming from. First of all, the Jewish claim that they're the chosen people. This rubs people strangely the wrong way. And also from the perspective that, my belief anyway, there is no such thing as a Jew, as a Muslim, as a Hindu. In fact, I agree with what Guru Nanak once said, was there is no Hindu, there is no Jew, right? If I could interpret what he was saying, is we're all just human beings here, and all this other stuff that we label ourselves with are just that. They're just concepts. However, the concepts and the beliefs that get entrenched in our minds cause us to segregate ourselves from each other and not inter-reproduce. So what happens is you have a segregated society based on geography. It can be based on geography. Some people are living way over in that continent for 10,000 years. These people are living over in this continent for 10,000 years. So they develop different evolutionary traits, right? The Jews were, because they were persecuted and segregated for so many years, they interbred within themselves and for certain traits. And for whatever reason, on most measures, IQ, especially on the level of G, which is the general IQ, they happen to be the most intelligent people on the earth. So when you have people who are very intelligent on the earth, they're going to rise in the strata of society, right? Wherever you have intelligence, that's gonna cause, those are going to be the ruling classes, essentially. They're going to be the ones who are going to be the captains of industry and of banking and of all these sorts of things. And intelligence has nothing to do with good or evil, as far as I can see, or good or benevolence. Benevolence or malevolence, if you will. Take a guy like Hitler, whether or not he's evil. I don't think anybody with a reasonable person is going to call him stupid, unintelligent. I mean, to have done what he did, to be able to organize that many people, to be able to go into that much chaos that was going on there, to mobilize the country in favor of him, to become this cult personality, to get everybody back to work, to create a system of extermination for a certain number of people. Evil? That part of it? Of course. But not intelligent? It doesn't make any sense to me. So the Jews, they're nobody problem. They're just more intelligent. So yes, there's going to be, whenever you have any group of people, there's good, bad, and indifferent throughout the whole mix, right? So whenever you have a group of intelligent people, you're going to have really good people and really bad people, of course, right? Because you have that in every strata. But when you have good with intelligence, you have amazing benevolence. And when you have bad with intelligence, you have really, really dastardly stuff, right? So, and I say this especially to, Christian friends. If you're going to call yourself Christian or anything like that, and you're going to say that Jews are the problem, then who the hell is Jesus? You know, Jesus didn't admit to being anything else, as far as I know. But he did, mainly what he said was he was the Son of Man. But there was no, I don't think there was any denial of his Judaism. He was a Jew, right? And you know, and the Christians are going to say, well, that was a benevolent Jew because he created this wonderful religion called Christianity, if people are going to cleave to it. So no, not whatsoever. It's completely ridiculous, in my opinion, for people to say that Jews are the problem, because Jews are just another group of human beings that happen to be an intelligent group of human beings, which therefore have the capacity to be, you know, benevolent or not towards others. And but however, when you have a group who's that intelligent, and they end up running so much of the important positions in cinema and media and banking and industry and government and, you know, law professions and all that sort of stuff, medicine, and people see that as a disproportionate number of the group, which is going to happen because whenever you have that much intelligence, it's going to rise, just like it's going to percolate up towards those higher positions that require a lot of intelligence. So they're not disproportionately represented in terms of the strata of intelligence. It's just that they have more. So in other words, if you have a Christian, an Asian guy, you know, a Hindu or whatever you want to call it, South Asian, or somebody who's of Shinto belief, or somebody who's of Judaism belief, or whatever, within the same society and of equal intelligence, statistically they're all going to rise, you know, to the positions of power and prestige and, you know, positions that affect a lot within society, approximately about the same, I would guess. So it's not about Judaism or not, it's about the intelligence. But when people see that so many people of a certain group are congregating in certain positions of power, and they feel put upon by those positions of power, then they're going to point at that group as the problem. And that's what happens with Jews over and over the years, I believe, is they have, whenever they've been able to go into positions that require a lot of intelligence, they end by being disproportionately in comparison to their society. So if they're only like 1% in the society, they're going to go up maybe to double digits percentage in those positions because they have that edge of intelligence, and it takes a lot of intelligence to be, you know, versed in a justice or a law profession, to be versed in a medicine profession, to be a political scientist or a scientist, or an author or a musician or somebody who organizes, somebody who has leadership skills. All of these positions, all of these types of roles in life require a lot of intelligence. So does high levels of criminality in all of those fields. I mean, somebody can be a criminal bankster, and they might be a Jew, but it's not because they're a Jew, I don't think, and maybe it does, but I don't think so. I think it's because they have intelligence and the ability. Because somebody who's calls themselves a Jew and is not of high intelligence, and they end up just being a laborer or something like that, or somebody who doesn't need as much a high level of intelligence in that category. So I would say no, I don't think it is, because fundamentally I don't believe that these concepts are real. They're just states of mind which end up affecting people's behaviors and eventually their gene pool, because when you affect behaviors over time and you say, I'm only going to mate with those type of people and not with those type of people, then in time that becomes a form of selective breeding, and it breeds for certain traits. So for whatever reason, and I suspect it was because the rabbis in the Jewish religion were the ones who had the most wealth through history a lot of times, and therefore they could actually reproduce more. So when you have intelligence reproducing more, then it's going to create more intelligence in society. Whereas the relatively less intelligence in the Christian society of Europe might have had to do with the most intelligent of the people, the professor-minded people who were the priests. They were forbidden from reproducing. So if you pull the most intelligent out of a society and say you cannot reproduce, then you're not going to have that rise in intelligence through evolution. Whereas if you promote the most intelligent to reproduce, which is probably the way the Jews did it, then you're going to have an increase in intelligence. And when you have an increase in intelligence, you're going to have a greater dominance in society, just because the high leadership skills in a society require more intelligence. So they're going to gravitate towards those higher positions. And when that happens, they're going to be seen by those who feel put upon or whatever. Those people are going to blame and point fingers as scapegoats at those people. And there might be something else going on, I don't know, but I think that's a lot of it, because there's this tendency within us human beings to want to blame other people for our problems. But I think if we can get into ourselves and say, look, it might have something to do with other people, but what the hell can I do about other people? Where can I put my attention to make the most effect in my life? And where I can put my attention to have the most effect in my life is in me. So rather than blaming other people, it's the Jews, it's the this, it's the that, how about realize that the most of the problem in my life is me? And that's where I need to put my attention. So my advice is, forget about the Jews and whether anybody else who is perceived to be any kind of a problem, and focus on how can I be a better person? How can I be better in my relationships? How can I be healthier? How can I improve my my ability to understand, my ability to communicate, my ability to just to have basically better relationships? And because that's so much of what we get in our lives has to do with our interactions with others. So I think sometimes the question of are the Jews the problem, or is these other people the problem, is a misguided and ineffective, it's an unskillful way of approaching life. Because, I mean, it might be a good philosophical debate, but on a practical level, how does it affect us? On a practical level, we're far better off drilling within ourselves, creating better relationship with ourselves, better relationship with others, and we're going to make a better world for ourselves. Because as far as we're concerned, the world, our experience of it, exists in us. Everything exists in us. Steve here again, great chatting. Talk again soon. Bye for now.